Welcome to another deep dive. I think it's safe to say that being able to communicate effectively is kind of a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Whether you're presenting to a packed room, just chatting with a friend, or leading a team meeting, how we speak and connect with others really shapes, I think, how we're perceived and the impact we make.
Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
so fundamental.
And one area that's often a bit of a sticking point for a lot of people is public speaking.
Yeah, it can be.
Just the thought of it, right?
hmm
Can bring on those butterflies.
Oh, for sure.
That nervousness, the worry about being judged or making a mistake or even like totally blanking out.
Right, right.
It can be really intimidating.
Mm.
But here's the thing, and this is a big takeaway I got from the material we're diving into today, is that public speaking, it's not this like innate talent that some people are just magically born with.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's a skill. It's something that you can learn and develop with practice. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Totally. I think that's a really empowering way to look at it.
Yeah. So today, we're going to really unpack the nuts and bolts of effective public speaking,
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
drawing on some really insightful material that covers a whole spectrum, from managing those pre-speech jitters to mastering your vocal delivery and body language, structuring a speech for maximum impact, and just really connecting with your audience on a genuine level.
So basically, we're giving our listeners a crash course in how to become a more confident and persuasive speaker.
Yeah, exactly. A shortcut, no more years of trial and error. So let's start, I guess, at the beginning
Okay.
with the fear factor.
The big one, right?
Yeah, the elephant in the room. Public speaking anxiety, it's incredibly common.
Oh, incredibly. I think it's probably one of the most common fears out there.
Yeah, it's up there with, like, spiders and heights for many people.
Yeah. I mean, all those classic phobias.
Yeah, and it can manifest in all sorts of ways. You've got the obvious nervousness, the self-doubt that creeps in, those physical symptoms like racing heart, sweaty palms.
Yeah, the dry mouth, the shaky voice.
Oh, yeah, the shaky everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of it stems from this fear of being judged.
Yeah.
That worry about making a mistake, not living up to some expectation.
Yeah, or just not being good enough.
Exactly, exactly. And I think what really resonated with me and the material we've been looking at is this idea of shifting the focus.
Oh, tell me about that.
Instead of getting so caught up in ourselves and what others might be thinking, what if we kind of flipped the script and focused outward on the audience, on the value we want to provide for them?
Okay, so instead of me, it becomes about you.
Exactly. It's almost like turning it into an act of service.
Oh, I like that. That's a really helpful way to reframe it. So then how do we actually start to overcome that fear?
Well, I think the foundation is preparation.
Okay, classic advice.
It's classic for a reason. The more familiar you are with your material, the more confident you're naturally going to feel.
Makes sense.
And that means more than just like mentally running through your speech in your head. It means actually practicing it out loud, saying the words, getting comfortable with the flow.
Right, so like actually standing up
Yeah.
and speaking it.
Yes. Standing up, speaking it, recording yourself if you can.
Oh, okay, so that we can actually hear it.
Yeah. It can be a little cringy to listen back, but it's so valuable.
Yeah. You can hear your pacing?
You hear your pacing, you hear any little like verbal tics or filler words.
Yeah, like the ums and the ahs.
Exactly. And then you can work on smoothing those out.
Okay, so practice is key. But what about those moments right before you actually have to speak?
Okay, so you're backstage.
Backstage, heart pounding.
Yeah, the adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah. Any tips for managing that pre-game anxiety?
Well, the material talks about breathing techniques.
Okay, breathing.
Yeah, it sounds simple, but it can be really powerful.
Yeah.
Like the 4-4-4 method.
What's that?
You inhale deeply for a count of 4, you hold it for 4, and then you exhale slowly for 4.
Oh, okay, so it's like a little rhythm.
It's like a rhythm. It helps to calm your nerves, get your heart rate down.
Yeah, just kind of centers you.
Yeah. And it actually increases the oxygen flow to your brain, which is helpful for clear thinking.
Okay, so breathing is a good one. What about something a little more, I guess, mental? like visualization.
Yeah, visualization is another powerful technique that the material talks about.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Basically, you close your eyes and you vividly imagine yourself giving a successful speech.
Okay, so you see yourself up there, confident.
You see yourself up there, confident, making eye contact, connecting with the audience, and the speech is flowing smoothly.
Okay.
And what this does is it kind of creates a positive association in your mind with public speaking.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of pre-programming yourself for success.
Exactly. Your brain starts to anticipate a positive outcome, and that can really help to reduce the fear.
Makes sense. I like it. Now, in terms of actually building those public speaking muscles, what about starting small?
Yeah, that's another great tip from the material.
I mean, you wouldn't, run a marathon without training for it.
Exactly. You wouldn't just jump in cold turkey.
Yeah.
So start with lower pressure situations.
Okay, like what?
Maybe practice giving a little talk to your family or a group of friends.
Yeah, casual setting.
Yeah, a casual setting, then maybe a slightly larger group, and gradually increase the size and the formality of your audience.
Yeah, and you build up that comfort level over time.
Exactly. It's a process of desensitization and gaining experience.
Okay, so we've addressed the fear factor. Now let's talk about something that communicates volumes, even when we're not saying a word.
Body language.
Yeah. It's a powerful form of communication, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. I think people really underestimate the impact it has.
Yeah. Our body language can either reinforce our message or completely undermine it.
Yeah, I think it's about 90% of communication or some crazy statistic like that.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
Okay, well, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
So, when we're thinking about body language, what are some key areas to focus on?
Well, the material really stresses the importance of eye contact.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's about making that connection with your audience, building trust, making people feel seen and acknowledged.
Right.
And the key is to avoid just staring at one person the whole time.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
Yeah. Try to scan the room naturally.
Okay.
Engage different sections of the audience.
Kind of like making eye contact with everyone?
Yeah, and it makes everyone feel included.
Yeah, so it's like you're having a conversation with the whole room.
Exactly. And then posture.
Okay, posture. How we hold ourselves.
Yeah, it conveys so much about our confidence and presence.
Yeah, you don't want to be slouching.
No, you don't want to be slouching.
I don't know.
Okay.
Stand tall,
Okay.
shoulders back.
Shoulders back.
Yeah. Feet planted firmly.
Mm.
That shows that you're confident, that you're in control.
Okay. So it's like you're taking up space.
Yeah, you're owning your space. Okay, I like it. What about hand gestures? Are they good? Bad? Confusing?
Gestures can be great.
Okay.
They can add emphasis.
Yeah.
They can help you illustrate your points.
Okay.
But the key is to make sure they're purposeful.
Okay, so not just like random flailing.
No, not random flailing. Your movements should have meaning.
Okay, so use them strategically.
Exactly. And facial expression.
Oh, yeah. Your face should be doing something other than just staring blankly, right?
Exactly. Smile.
Okay.
Show that you're engaged.
Yeah.
Let your expressions reflect the emotions you're conveying.
Okay.
A genuine smile can go a long way in making you more relatable.
Yeah, humanizes you. Okay, what about movement? Like moving around the stage, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it depends. Strategic movement can be very effective,
Oh,
like
sorry.
moving closer to the audience at certain points.
Okay, to create that intimacy.
Yeah, or taking a step back to signal a transition.
Okay,
But aimless pacing can be really distracting.
right. It makes you seem nervous.
Yeah, it makes you seem like you're not sure what to do with yourself.
Okay, so every movement should have a purpose.
Exactly. And finally, let's talk about those pesky little nervous habits.
Oh, those are the worst.
Yeah, like fidgeting with your hands, playing with your clothing, constantly shifting your weight.
Yeah, you see it all the time.
Yeah, and they can be so distracting for the audience.
Even if we're not aware of it, right?
Yeah, they pull the focus away from what you're saying.
Yeah. Again, that's where recording yourself can be really helpful.
Yeah, it can help you identify those habits and then work on minimizing them.
Okay, so body language, check. Now let's move on to actually structuring the speech itself.
Yeah, the meat and potatoes.
You can have great delivery, But if your message is disorganized and rambling, it's not going to be effective.
Totally. A well-structured speech helps your audience follow your train of thought, understand your message, and remember the key takeaways.
Okay, so where do we start? Let's talk about the introduction.
Okay, the introduction. This is your chance to grab the audience's attention, set the stage, and let them know what they can expect.
Yeah, first impressions are everything. What are some good ways to kick off a speech?
Well, the material suggests a few different techniques.
Oh, okay, let's hear them.
You could start with a surprising statistic or a thought-provoking question.
Okay, something to get people thinking.
Yeah. Or you could tell a brief personal anecdote, something that connects with the audience on an emotional level.
Yeah, like that.
Or maybe a powerful quote that sets the tone for your speech.
Okay.
But no matter what you choose, make sure you clearly introduce your topic and give a brief overview of what you'll be covering.
Okay, so it's like a roadmap.
Yeah, a roadmap for your speech.
Okay, so you've hooked them. Now, what about the main body of the speech? How do we organize all the information effectively?
The material talks about the rule of three.
The rule of three.
It's basically the idea that things are more memorable and easier to process when presented in groups of three. So try to organize your main points into 3 key sections.
Okay, 3 key sections. Got it.
Each section should be clearly defined, supported with evidence, and seamlessly connected to the next using smooth transitions.
Okay, so those transitions are important.
Super important. They help your audience follow your logic and keep them engaged.
Okay, so we've got the intro, the body. Now, the grand finale.
The conclusion.
It's tempting to just sort of trail off at the end,
Yeah, you want to avoid that.
but the conclusion is just as important as the introduction.
Oh, absolutely. It's your last chance to leave a lasting impression on your audience, to really drive home your message.
So what are some effective ways to wrap things up?
Well, you could summarize your key points.
Okay, nice little recap.
Yeah. Or you could provide a clear call to action if that's relevant to your speech.
Okay.
Or you could end with a powerful statement that leaves the audience with something to think about.
Okay.
But whatever you do, avoid introducing new information in the conclusion.
Okay, so no new stuff at the end. Just a nice clean wrap up.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about structure.
Structure, check. Now let's talk about the instrument we use to actually deliver that speech.
Ah, the voice.
Yeah, the voice. It's more than just the words we say, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. It's how we say them.
Yeah.
Our tone, our pace, our volume.
Yeah, it all plays a part.
All of that conveys meaning and emotion.
So let's talk about vocal variety. I think we've all heard those monotone speakers who just kind of drone on and on.
Oh, it's so deadly. It's like listening to paint dry.
Yeah.
So you want to vary your pitch, your intonation.
Okay.
Emphasize key words. Inject some energy into your delivery.
Oh, hey.
Don't be afraid to show some emotion.
Yeah, be expressive. What about pacing? I know I tend to speak faster when I'm nervous,
Yeah, a lot of people do.
but that can be hard for the audience to follow.
Exactly. You want to aim for a natural conversational pace.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to pause. Pauses give the audience time to process what you're saying, and they can also add emphasis.
Okay, so it's like the silence between the notes in music.
Exactly. It's what gives the music its shape.
Okay. What about volume? I mean, obviously you want to be heard, but you don't want to be shouting.
Right. You need to project your voice so that everyone in the room can hear you comfortably.
Yeah.
But you don't want to blast them out of their seats.
Okay, and what about enunciation? I mean, some people just mumble, and it's hard to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, enunciation is key.
Okay.
Speak clearly. Pronounce your words distinctly.
Okay.
Especially if you're speaking to a large audience.
Okay, so no mumbling allowed.
No mumbling. And breath control.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah, you don't want to run out of breath mid-sentence.
No.
Practice breathing deeply from your diaphragm.
Okay.
It'll give you a stronger, more steady voice.
Okay, and finally, the emotional side of things.
Yeah, injecting emotion into your voice is key. It helps you connect with the audience on a deeper level.
Okay.
It makes your speech more engaging, more memorable.
Okay, so use your voice to convey those emotions.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered structure, we've covered vocal delivery.
Check. Check. Now, how do we make sure our audience is actually engaged with what we're saying.
Yeah, audience engagement, that's the golden ticket.
Yeah, we don't want them just passively sitting there, right?
No, you want them to be actively listening, thinking, feeling.
Yeah, so how do we do that?
Well, the material talks about the power of storytelling.
Storytelling.
Yeah, stories are incredibly engaging.
Yeah, I love a good story.
They draw people in, they create emotional connections, and they make your message more memorable.
Okay, so incorporate stories into your speech. What else?
Interaction.
Okay, interaction.
Yeah, ask rhetorical questions.
Okay.
Maybe do a quick poll if it's appropriate.
Okay.
Get people thinking and responding.
Okay, so get them involved. What about humor?
Humor can be great. It can lighten the mood, create a bond with the audience.
Okay.
But it's important to use it appropriately.
Yeah, you don't want to offend anyone.
No, you want to be sensitive to your audience.
Okay, and the humor should be relevant to your topic, right?
Yeah, it should flow naturally.
Okay. What about visual aids?
Visual aids can be really helpful.
Okay.
They can reinforce your message, keep people visually engaged.
Yeah, but too many can be distracting, right?
Yeah, you don't want to overload people with information.
Okay, so keep it simple.
Keep it simple and make sure your visuals actually enhance your message.
Okay, so they're supporting, not distracting.
Exactly. And of course, we've got eye contact again.
Yeah, the importance of connecting with individuals.
It makes people feel like you're speaking directly to them.
Yeah, it builds that personal connection.
Yeah.
Okay, and one last thought on audience engagement.
Okay.
I think it's important to remember that your audience isn't just this, like, homogenous blob.
Right. Everyone is an individual.
They have different backgrounds.
Different interests, different levels of knowledge.
So how do we tailor our speech to those differences?
Well, it starts with knowing your audience.
Okay, do your research.
Yeah. Think about who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
What are their interests? What do they already know about your topic?
Yeah.
What are their expectations?
Yeah.
And then adjust your language, your examples, your tone accordingly.
Okay, so it's about making your speech relevant and engaging for that specific audience.
Exactly. Okay, so you've given your speech.
Speech delivered.
You've knocked it out of the park.
Hopefully.
Now comes the Q&A session.
Okay, the dreaded Q&A. This can be really nerve-wracking.
Yeah, for a lot of people, this is the scariest part.
Yeah. So how do we handle it with confidence?
Well, first of all, preparation is key.
Okay, again, preparation.
Think about the potential questions you might be asked based on your topic.
Okay.
And then prepare some concise, thoughtful answers in advance.
Okay, so you're not caught off guard.
Exactly. And then during the Q&A, make sure you actually listen to the questions.
Yeah, actively listen.
Yeah, don't just assume you know what they're going to ask.
Okay.
And if a question is unclear, don't be afraid to ask for clarification.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah. And if you don't know the answer to a question, it's okay to say so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always feel like I have to have all the answers.
No, it's better to be honest than to try to make something up.
Okay, so honesty is the best policy.
Definitely. And keep your answers concise.
Okay, no rambling?
No rambling.
Yeah.
No one wants to listen to a long-winded answer.
Okay, and what about if someone challenges your perspective?
Okay, so you got a tough question.
Yeah, or someone disagrees with you.
The key is to stay calm and respectful,
Okay.
acknowledge their viewpoint,
Yeah.
and then provide a reasoned response.
Okay.
Don't get defensive.
Yeah.
Just stay calm and stick to the facts.
Okay. Now, can you use the Q&A to
Yeah.
kind of subtly reinforce your main points?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I like that.
When you're answering a question, try to weave in a key takeaway from your speech.
Okay, so it's like a little bonus reminder.
Exactly. And finally, if there are a lot of questions, be mindful of the time.
Yeah, you don't want to go on forever.
No, you don't want to keep people hostage.
Okay, so set some time limits.
Yeah, maybe announce at the beginning how many questions you'll have time for.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So Q&A handled. Now let's circle back to storytelling.
Yeah, stories. We love them.
They really are a powerful tool in public speaking.
Oh, for sure.
So what makes a good story, especially in the context of a speech?
Well, it needs to have a clear purpose.
Okay, a reason for being there.
Yeah. It should illustrate or support your main message.
Oh.
It should be engaging,
Okay.
vivid descriptions, sensory details.
Okay, so paint a picture with your words.
Exactly. And it should be authentic.
Okay, so real stories.
Real stories, personal experiences, people connect with authenticity.
Yeah, it makes you more relatable. And after you tell the story, make sure you tie it back to your main point.
Yeah, explain the connection.
Okay, so the audience understands why you told that story.
Exactly. Okay, so now, even the most experienced public speakers make mistakes sometimes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're all human.
So let me talk about some common public speaking pitfalls and how to avoid them.
Okay, let's do it. What's the first one?
Lack of preparation.
Yeah. Classic.
It's so important to plan your content, practice your delivery, know your material inside and out.
Yeah, preparation builds confidence.
Exactly. What about reading from your notes too much?
Oh, yeah, that's a big no-no.
It creates a barrier between you and the audience.
Yeah, you're not really connecting.
No, you're just reading.
Okay, so practice speaking more naturally.
Yeah, use your notes as a guide, but don't rely on them too heavily.
Okay. What about speaking too fast?
That's another common one.
Yeah, especially when you're nervous.
Yeah, your adrenaline gets pumping and the words just tumble out. But it can be really hard for the audience to follow.
So slow down.
Slow down, breathe, use pauses.
Okay, and those filler words.
The ums and the
Yeah, they're little verbal tics.
yeah, and they can be really distracting.
So what's the solution?
Practice speaking with more confidence
Okay.
and try to replace those filler words with pauses.
Okay. Silence is gold.
Exactly. And then there's body language again.
Yeah, we've talked about this, but it's worth repeating.
Yeah, it's so important.
Avoid closed-off postures like crossing your arms.
Yeah, it makes you seem defensive.
Okay. What about pacing?
Pacing can be distracting.
Yeah.
Especially if it's aimless.
Okay, so move with purpose.
Exactly. And eye contact.
Make that connection.
Make that connection. Don't just stare at the floor.
Okay. And finally, don't ignore the audience.
Right. Public speaking is a two-way street.
Yeah, it's conversation.
Pay attention to their reactions.
Yeah.
Engage with them. Adjust your approach if needed.
Okay, so be present, be aware, be responsive. Great advice. Now, let's talk about persuasion.
Okay, the art of influence.
Sometimes our goal is more than just to inform, right?
Right.
We want to convince our audience, change their minds, inspire them to take action.
Yeah, it's about getting people to see things your way.
So how do we do that effectively?
Well, the material talks about the three appeals of rhetoric: ethos, pathos, and logos.
Okay, those sound familiar.
Ethos is about credibility.
Okay, so establishing yourself as an expert.
Yeah, showing that you know what you're talking about.
Okay, what about pathos?
Pathos is the emotional appeal.
Okay.
It's about connecting with the audience on an emotional level,
Okay.
using stories, vivid language to evoke feelings.
Okay.
And then logos is the logical appeal.
Okay, the facts and figures.
Yeah, using evidence, data, reasoning to support your claims.
Okay, so it's about being credible, appealing to emotions, and backing up your claims with logic.
Exactly. And storytelling can be really effective in persuasion, too.
Oh, for sure.
A good story can illustrate your point, make your argument more memorable, and even evoke emotions that support your persuasive goal.
Okay, what about addressing counter-arguments? Should you bring up opposing viewpoints or just stick to your own side?
I think it can be really effective to address counter-arguments.
Oh.
It shows that you've considered different perspectives.
Yeah.
And it gives you an opportunity to refute those opposing viewpoints.
Okay, so it actually strengthens your argument.
Exactly. And finally, when you're trying to persuade someone, you need to have a clear call to action.
Okay, tell them what you want them to do.
Exactly. Be specific.
Okay, so persuasion is about ethos, pathos, logos, storytelling, addressing counter-arguments, and a clear call to action.
That's the recipe.
Okay, now let's talk about practice.
Ah, yes. The key to mastery.
Yeah, just wing it, right?
No, not if you want to excel. Practice is essential.
Okay, so what are some effective ways to rehearse a speech?
Well, first of all, practice out loud.
Okay, don't just read it in your head.
No. Stand up, speak the words, get comfortable with the flow.
Okay, what else?
Record yourself.
Okay, the cringe-worthy but helpful tactic.
Yeah. Listen back. Identify areas for improvement.
Okay.
Practice in front of others.
Okay. Get some feedback.
Get feedback, ask for specific suggestions.
Okay. And if possible, practice in the actual venue.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Or at least a similar setting.
Yeah, get used to the space.
Okay. What about using a mirror?
The mirror can be a great tool for working on your facial expressions and gestures.
Okay, so you can see what you look like.
Exactly. And don't forget to time yourself.
Yeah, time management is important.
Yeah, make sure your speech fits within the allotted time.
Okay, so practice, practice, practice. Now, one last thing to consider.
Okay.
Public speaking isn't one size fits all, right?
Yeah. It's not.
The approach you take might need to vary depending on the setting.
Exactly. You wouldn't give the same speech in a small meeting as you would at a large conference.
Okay, so let's talk about different speaking settings. What about small groups?
In a small group, you can be more conversational.
Okay, a more relaxed tone.
Yeah, encourage interaction, make eye contact with everyone.
Okay, so it's more like a discussion.
Exactly. What about large audiences?
Okay, so a big room full of people.
No, in a large audience, you need to project your voice more.
Okay, so speak up.
Speak up, use bigger gestures.
Okay, so that everyone can see and hear you.
Exactly. And what about virtual presentations?
Oh, yeah, those are becoming more and more common.
Yeah.
So speaking through a screen.
In a virtual presentation, speak clearly, maybe a bit slower than usual.
Okay.
Use engaging visuals to keep people's attention.
Yeah.
And make eye contact with the camera lens.
Okay, so that simulates eye contact with the audience.
Exactly. So the key is to adapt your approach to the specific setting.
Okay, be flexible.
Be flexible.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some final overarching tips for becoming a truly great public speaker?
Okay, some final takeaways.
Yeah, the wisdom nuggets.